there, I'm Alex, this is Big Al Books, and I hope you're as excited about the March of the Mammoths readathon as my pugs are. If you're watching this video, it's probably the 1st of March, hopefully, and the March of the Mammoths month-long readathon is beginning, and that means that I finally have to make up my mind and let you know what I am going to be reading this month. There are so many amazing long books to choose from out there, and I always find myself swayed by people's persuasive comments, seeing other people's reading plans, as well as using what I already have at home. So I always change my mind up until the very first day of the readathon, and this year was really no exception. My problem this year is that there are 5 mammoths that I really want to read, and a lot of them are on the quite lengthy side, so well over 800 pages. So let me tell you about the mammoths that I plan on reading this month. There are 3 novels that I would like to get to this month. The first one that I am the most committed to finishing is finally Ulysses by James Joyce. Now, I feel like this book is not always classified as a mammoth depending on which edition you're reading. I think that sometimes it falls short of 800 pages. However, in my edition, it's 933 pages. So that feels like a substantial enough challenge for me. This is a book that I have spent, I feel like, about half of my life at this point avoiding, even though I'm someone who really enjoys 20th century fiction. I love difficult novels. I love long novels. I still have not read Ulysses. It just feels like this major blind spot in my reading life, and I know that I just need to confront it at some point in my life. Now, I haven't always gotten along well with James Joyce's writing style. I really didn't enjoy A Portrait of the Artist as a young man, and I think I had to read at least a chapter or 2 of Ulysses in one of my undergrad English classes, and I also felt no need to repeat the experience to read the whole book. But I have found a lot of beauty and brilliance in some of his stories from Dubliners. So I know that the man is capable of doing some wondrous things on the page. And really, my goal with my first read through Ulysses is just to get through it and just have fun with it. I'm not going to be trying to go down like the dense scholarly route. I just want to see what this is all about, experience it for myself, and if you enjoy it, then you can spend the rest of your life studying it. It seems to be what I hear from people. My approach to tackling this one is going to be following along with the Shakespeare and Company podcast that they released for the 100th year anniversary of Ulysses last year, and they have different authors that are reading out different chapters. And I hear so much about how musical James Joyce's writing is, so I think listening might be a good route to that. So I'm going to try to follow along with the text and have some audio going in the background, and we'll see how that works out. I'm also really hoping to get to The Mirror and the Light by Hilary Mantel. This is the final novel in her Thomas Cromwell trilogy. This one is clocking in at 875 pages, making this one about twice as long as the other volumes in the trilogy. I started my Hilary Mantel Wolf Hall journey back in January of this year, and it's been kind of nice. I've just been reading one of these books every month. I've enjoyed the series so far, although I have a kind of bad feeling that the final volume isn't going to be the strongest, because I really love villains, and I love them when they're at the height of their powers. Like, I'm thinking of Richard III by Shakespeare. It's always so much more fun when someone is on the rise up as opposed to when they're going on their downfall. I'm curious to see how she's going to stretch out this story over these 875 pages, but so far I have found Hilary Mantel's historical fiction writing to be so immersive. Her stories are really entertaining, so I really don't anticipate there being much of a problem to tackling this book. The last novel on my list is a classic that I have owned for many years, but I'm really finally just feeling the pull of this book for the first time in the past few days as I've been making my plans for March, and that is The Tale of Genji. So there's just something about this book that feels like it's going to make sense in the springtime. I've also been yearning to read a very slow-paced classic, and I think I'm ready to at least start introducing myself to the world that is depicted in this novel. I know this book is over 1,000 years old, one of the first early examples of the novel that we have, but I just wanted to read a translated novel this month and read a classic and just immerse myself into something very different. So I am hoping that my intuition in picking up this book right now will end up paying off, and I'm just very intrigued with what this book has to offer, and I think it might be a nice addition to some of the other more chaotic books that I'm going to be reading this month. For nonfiction, over the past few years that I've done this readathon, I've always tried to get to a biography in March, and this year, the longest biography that I own currently is this 2-volume biography of Eugene O'Neill by Lewis Schaefer. And again, put together, this is well over 800 pages, so I'm not sure it's one that I could totally finish in the month of March, but it is one that I bought recently, and I'm excited to read it because I wasn't really planning on reading that much about Eugene O'Neill's life, but then back in December, I had just read A Long Day's Journey into Night, and I found the family dynamics in that play to be so fascinating. And then a few days later, I saw these 2 beautiful volumes at one of my local bookstores, and it just felt like the right time. Like, I was so interested in this man's family from how he depicted them in his art to see what the real story might be there. So I'm definitely intrigued in O'Neill. I can't say that I'm all that familiar with his work. I've only read 2 of his plays, but I love both of them, and I would be curious to learn more about him. And I would at least like to start volume 1 this month, and we'll see if we can continue ahead into volume 2. But yeah, I'm hoping that a playwright is going to make a fascinating study. And the last book that I would like to begin this month is an anthology of short stories. Because last year I realized when reading the Harold Bloom anthology of poetry, anthologies make for really excellent mammoths. So the anthology that I have just been so excited about reading is The Weird, a compendium of strange and dark stories. This has been edited by Anne and Jeff Vandermeer. And judging from some of the authors compiled in here, this is going to be a good time. We've got Kafka, we've got Borges, we've got Neil Gaiman, Shirley Jackson. A lot of interesting and strange writers are compiled in this collection. I'm curious in learning a bit more about the weird as a genre and what separates it from more conventional genres that you might know about, like horror or the Gothic tradition. So, the best way to learn about a genre is just to completely immerse yourself into it. So, my goal with this one is to only read this during the dark, strange hours of the night where I can just hopefully scare myself or get my imagination going before I go to bed. And I'm excited to just see how much of this I can get through in 1 month. So those are the books that I'm going to be spending a lot of time with in the month of March. If you're participating in the readathon yourself, I hope that you have an amazing time. I don't know about you, but I'm just like so ready for the month of March. I'm ready for like a new start. I'm ready for spring to come, and I'm excited to take on a new reading challenge. So I'm hopefully going to be back with an update video at some point where we can all check in with each other and talk about our progress. But until then, I hope March gets off to a fantastic start for you. Happy reading, and see you again soon. Bye.